MakerSnack.
So just a quick reminder here, I'm switching between MakeCode and CircuitPython, and when you switch to MakeCode, you wipe out your CircuitPython stuff. So my connected CPX doesn't say CircuitPython in here, it's still saying cplayboot for MakeCode. So what I'm going to do is I just keep a folder on my computer with the latest version so I can drag over whenever I need them. I'm going to drag over the UF2 for the CircuitPython for CircuitPlayground Express, and then I'm also going to grab just the libraries file out here. And again, you may get this eject notice up there. You can just go ahead and ignore it, and notice it changed to CircuitPy, and now I'm just going to grab the library in here and drag it over and drop it off too. By the way, if you haven't noticed, there's also an examples folder. Don't put the examples folder on CircuitPy, but you can see lots of sample code in there as well. So if you want to explore any of that, that's a good idea. It looks like I'm getting a warning here for not enough disk space, and that means not enough space on the CPX. So remember, it doesn't have a lot of storage that's there. And if you've been working on some of the previous things with sound files, your CPX storage may be starting to fill up. One of the things I can do is just go into CircuitPy, just delete my library in there, and then I'm going to just go ahead and reinstall the library. I may have the library in there and I don't need to do this, but just to be safe, I'm going to make sure that I've got all of the files that I need. So this will copy over. It'll probably take more time than I'm showing demonstrated here, but once this is copied over, we won't get any errors. And after this copies over, what I'd like you to do is to go into a browser and enter the URL that you see here. And that URL is bit.ly/CircuitPython Light Strip examples. There's a capital letter in front of all of the words there, so C, P, L, S, and E are all capitalized. Programmers refer to that as upper camel case. So bit.ly/CircuitPython Light Strip examples, and that should take you to a GitHub page where I've actually got a bunch of files here. And so what we'll do is we'll load up this code and we'll run it on our CPX. This way we know that we've got some bug-free code, and you can use these examples in your own code and to expand and to explore as well. So in order to get this code on my computer, I'm going to click on the clone or download button, click on download zip, and what this is going to do is it's going to download a zip file. I'm going to download mine right to the desktop. And then I can go over and double click on the zip file. The file will uncompress into a folder here. I can take that zip file now and throw it out. I'm not going to need it anymore. But inside of this folder here, if you double click on it, you can see a bunch of different examples. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up New, and I'm going to load the light strip example number 1 here. So I'll just expand my window so that it takes up the full screen. I'm going to click on load here, get into my desktop, and get into the master folder that I just downloaded, and here's my light strip example. So just very quickly, we're going to go ahead and plug in our 3 wires. Our 3 wires are white is for our signal. That's where our computer program will control our Neopixel lights. And we're going to assume that we're going to work with A1. That's the pin number, or the named little circle, where our program is going to go over and send stuff out to A1 so it can control the lights. Then we need ground, so that can go to any GND, and the ground is the black one. Just think black like rich soil. So I'm going to choose this GND, but any of them would work. And then power, assume power, electricity, red, fire, although nothing was going to catch fire in what we're doing here. That can go to V out that we have right here, as well as any of the other 2 pins that say 3.3. Now V out is actually set up to work with things that are a little bit higher power. They'll work fine with our Neopixel lights, but 3.3 will as well. Now let's also make sure that we go ahead and we plug our CircuitPlayground Express into the USB on our computer so that we can download our files. So here we'll plug right in. I can see that I've got the little green light is on, and we're ready to download our code. So back here in our CPX, you can actually get rid of the untitled if you've got it up there. You want to make sure that you've got nothing that says code.py. Now to save this to the CPX that's plugged in, just double click on the tab that says lightstrip_example_1.py. If you scroll down, you should see a mounted volume if you've plugged your CPX in correctly, and the little light is on the CPX to indicate it's on. And you should type in code.py to save this file directly to your CPX. If you've got anything on there already, just replace that. And so now if we watch the code execute, you can see that it goes red, green, blue, red, green, blue, red, green, blue, and it continues to cycle through. So let's look back over at our code. First, if you want to go ahead and use CircuitPython and an LED strip, this is the setup code that we've got here. So we're importing our library, we're importing the timing library as well, just in case you want to put in anything here with a pause in it. We've also imported the board library, and we're just going to use that in order to be able to tell our CircuitPlayground Express that we're going to connect our light strip to A1. And then Neopixel is another library that we're going to use to actually control the Neopixels. Now this is a lot of stuff here, but if you remember, just to grab all of this stuff, copy it, and paste it into any code that you want to use the light strip in, you should be good to go. This pixel pin board.A1 thing again says, hey, we've plugged our Neopixels into board A1. I have 30 lights in my Neopixel strip. So the num neopixels is how many lights you've got. Then what we're doing here with pixels is essentially we're saying, hey, let's create this thing that we're going to call pixels. And so pixels is just the name that describes the light strip that we've got connected. And if you've used a make code before, this is very similar to a block that you would set up in OnStart that says set strip to create strip on A1 with 30 pixels. Same thing here. It's just described a little bit differently in Python code. This sets the brightness. If you want to fool around with this, you can. It goes up to 1.0, and auto write equals true. Just make sure as soon as you make any changes, that's going to write them automatically out to your Neopixel strips. So just copy and paste this, boom, you'll be good to go. Now the pause rate that we say down here is for half a second, so we pause in between the flash that we do. While true, again, is our loop that's going to loop through forever, and pixels.fill is just going to go ahead and it's going to fill in. So we go to our pixels here, which we created, which is essentially the name of our light strip. .fill is the command to fill a light strip in with the color that follows it. And then the numbers that we have here, notice that it's parenthesis, 3 numbers parenthesis. That's RGB. So we see red first because we're 255, full on red, but 0 and 0 for G and B. Then we have full on green, and then we have full on blue. So that's the code that we've got here. So hopefully you understand this and you can use this code. You can fool around with some of the items as well. I hope you learned a little bit in this. MakerSnack.